Philosophy of Hinduism by Babasaheb Ambedkar. Question 3, Part 11. A third collision is reported to have occurred between the Brahmins and King Nahusha. The story is given in great details in the Udyog Parva of the Mahabharata. It is there recorded. After his slaughter of the demon Vritra, Indra became alarmed at the idea of having taken the life of a Brahmin, for Vritra was regarded as such, and hid himself in waters. In consequence of the disappearance of the king of gods, all affairs, celestial as well as terrestrial, fell into the king of fell into confusion. The rishis and gods then applied to Nahusha to be their king. After at first excusing himself on the plea of want of power, Nahusha at length, in compliance with their solicitations, accepted the high function. Up to the period of his elevation, he had led a virtuous life, but he now became addicted to amusement and sensual pleasure, and even aspired to possession of Indrani, Indra's wife, whom he had happened to see. The queen resorted to the Angiras Vrihaspati, the preceptor of the gods, who engaged to protect her. Nahusha was greatly incensed on hearing of this interference, but the gods endeavored to pacify him and pointed out the immorality of appropriating another person's wife. Nahusha, however, would listen to no remonstrance and insisted that in his adulterous designs he was not worse than Indra himself. The renowned Ahalya, a rishi's wife, was formerly corrupted by Indra in her husband's lifetime. Why was he not prevented by you? And many barbarous acts and unrighteous deeds and frauds were perpetrated by the old Indra. Why was he not prevented by you? The gods, urged by Nahusha, then went to bring Indrani, but Vrihaspati would not give her up. At his recommendation, however, she solicited Nahusha for some delay, till she should ascertain what had become of her husband. This request was granted. The gods next applied to Vishnu on behalf of Indra. Then Vishnu promised that if Indra would sacrifice to him, he should be purged from his guilt and recover his dominion, while Nahusha would be destroyed. Indra sacrificed accordingly, and the result is thus told. Having divided the guilt of Brahmanicide among trees, rivers, mountains, the earth, women, and the elements, Vasava, Indra, lord of the gods, became freed from suffering and sin and self governed. Nahusha was by this means shaken from his place, but he must have speedily regained his position, as we are told that Indra was again ruined and became invisible. Indrani now went in search of her husband, and by the help of Upasriti, the goddess of night and revealer of secrets, discovered him existing in a very subtle form in the stem of a lotus growing in a lake situated in a continent within an ocean north of the Himalaya. She made known to him the wicked intention of Nahusha and entreated him to exert his power, rescue her from danger, and resume his dominion. Indra declined any immediate interposition of the plea of Nahusha's superior strength, but suggested to his wife a device by which the usurper might be hurled from his position. She was recommended to say to Nahusha that if he would visit her on a celestial vehicle borne by rishis, she would with pleasure submit herself to him. The question of the gods accordingly went to Nahusha, by whom she was graciously received and made this proposal. I desire for thee, king of the gods, a vehicle hitherto unknown, such as neither Vishnu nor Rudra nor the Asuras nor the Rakshasas employ. Let the eminent rishis all united bear thee, Lord, in a car. This idea pleases me. Nahusha receives favorably this appeal to his vanity, and in the course of his reply thus gives utterance to his self-congratulation. He is a personage of no mean prowess who takes the Munis his bearers. I am a fervid devotee of great might, Lord of the past, the future, and the present. If I were angry, the world would no longer stand. On me everything depends. Wherefore, O goddess, I shall without doubt carry out what you propose. The seven rishis and all the Brahman rishis shall carry me. Behold, beautiful goddess, my majesty and my prosperity. The narrative goes on. Accordingly, this wicked being, irreligious, violent, intoxicated by the fear of conceit, and arbitrary in his conduct, attached to his car the rishis who submitted to his commands and compelled them to bear him. Indrani then again resorts to Vrihaspati, who assures her that vengeance will soon overtake Nahusha for his presumption, and promises that he will himself perform a sacrifice with a view to the destruction of the oppressor and the discovery of Indra's lurking place. Agni is then sent to discover, and being Indra to Vrihaspati, and the latter, on Indra's arrival, informs him of all that had occurred during his absence. While Indra, with Kuveras, Yama, Soma, and Varuna, was devising means for the destruction of Nahusha, the sage Agastya came up, congratulated Indra on the fall of his rival, and proceeded to relate how it had occurred. Wearied with carrying the sinner Nahusha, the eminent divine rishis and the spotless Brahman rishis asked that divine personage Nahusha to solve a difficulty. Dost thou, Vasava, most excellent of conquerors, regard as authoritative or not those Brahman texts which are recited at the immolation of king? No, replied Nahusha, whose understanding was enveloped in darkness. The rishis rejoined, engaged in unrighteousness, thou attainest not unto righteousness. These texts, which were formerly uttered by great rishis, are regarded by us as authoritative. The proceeds Agastya, disputing with the Munis impelled by unrighteousness, touched me on the head with his foot. In consequence of this, the king's glory was smitten and his prosperity departed. When he had instantly become agitated and oppressed with fear, I said to him, since thou, O fool, condemnest that sacred text, always held in honor, which had been composed by former sages and employed by Brahman rishis, and hast touched my head with thy foot, and employest the Brahma like an irresistible rishis as bearers to carry thee. Therefore, short of thy luster and all thy merit exhausted, sink down, sinner, degraded from heaven to earth. For then 1,000 years thou shalt crawl in the form of a huge serpent. When that period is complete, thou shalt again ascend to heaven. So fell that wicked wretch from the sovereignty of the gods. The end.